Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm pleased to join you today to speak about the importance of World Telecommunication ICT indicators and their role in monitoring progress towards universal and meaningful connectivity. Universal meaningful connectivity is not just about having people connected, it's about ensuring that everyone, everywhere, can benefit from digital technologies. This means that it's not just about access, it's also about affordability of devices and services, about safety and security, about quality of service, about ICT skills, in order to allow users to engage in meaningful online activities, from education to work to civic participation. The vision of universal meaningful connectivity is at the heart of the Global Digital Compact. I suppose that many of you have heard about it. It has been approved by the UN General Assembly as part of the Pact for the Future in September 2024. And this Global Digital Compact aims at promoting universal meaningful connectivity and its measurement. So we are going to discuss today about the measurement, about indicators, and how to measure the progress towards universal meaningful connectivity, in particular through the telecommunications ICT indicators. So this is a webinar which is part of the series that the International Telecommunication Union has organized to support the countries in the process of compilation of data and submission of such data to ITU in the context of the annual collection of indicators from countries. So the indicators that we are going to discuss today are related to questions such as how many people have access to broadband internet, how we're evolving the different technologies to connect to the internet, are mobile and data plans affordable for users, what is the traffic over the internet, and so on. All these indicators are critical for tracking the progress over time, for identifying gaps and inequalities, and for informing evidence-based digital policies at the national and international levels. So that's why it is so important that countries and stakeholders continue to invest in data collection, in having the necessary statistical capacity to compile, disseminate, and use these indicators for an inclusive digital transformation. So I would like to give a few notes about how this webinar will take place. I hope the change of time from winter to summertime has not been an issue for many of you. We had some confusions because last week time changed here in Geneva, so we expect it didn't change much for you. The webinar is being recorded. I would like to kindly ask you to switch off your microphones. You can ask any questions in the languages which you feel comfortable in the chat. We will answer during the session and in the Q&A, questions and answer segment at the end. I would like now to invite my colleagues to discuss, to present the agenda, the contents. If there are, at the end of the webinar, if you are interested in having the recording of this session, you can contact us at indicators@itu.int, and we'll provide these recordings. So I would like to pass the floor to my colleague Esperanza Magpantay, senior statistician at the ICT Data and Analytics division of the ITU, who will present the objectives and the contents of the webinar. Good luck to everyone.
To announce the photo or after.
One more thing. At some point, I would like to ask you to turn your cameras on so that we can take a picture. We are about 40 participants right now. There were like 200 registered, so I hope they will join in the next minutes. Thank you very much. I pass the floor to Esperanza right now.
Thank you very much, Jose Luis, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this technical webinar on World Telecommunication / ICT statistics. My name is Esperanza Magpanta. I'm the senior statistician from the ICT Data and Analytics Division of the ITU, and I'll be your moderator today. So this is the fourth session of the webinar series that was organized by the ICT Data and Analytics Division. As you may recall, those of you who were present, the first one was on ICT prices, the second and the third are on household indicators and their data collection. And in today's webinar, we aim to present the overview of World Telecom/ICT indicators collected by ITU using the World Telecommunication Indicators questionnaires. These indicators are discussed and agreed, as mentioned by Jose Luis, in the expert group on telecom/ICT indicators and based on methodologies outlined in the ITU handbook for telecommunications/ICT indicators coming from administrative sources and particularly collected by regulators and ministries. So our goal is indeed to help you, our participants, and our focal points to gain comprehensive insights into the latest methodologies and help you facilitate your data collection and submission of those data to the ITU. So please allow me to introduce our trainers, our speakers for today, who are all from the ICT Data and Analytics Division. So we have with us Nehal Desai. She will start the presentation. She's our statistical assistant, and she will talk about the ITU Data Hub. The second presentation will come from Daniela Pocornacal-Heno. She's our statistical assistant, and she will talk about the ITU questionnaire on the WTI indicators and how to submit the data using our new data submission platform. And then it will be followed by a presentation of the different data sources for WTI indicators, which will be done by Viviana Umpieres, a statistician, followed by presentations on fixed network and mobile network. And then my colleague Danielle Vertesi, who is our economist, will explain about international bandwidth indicators, quality of service indicators, as well as revenue and investment indicators. Then we will follow all the presentations with the Q&A and interactive discussions where you will be allowed to open your microphone and raise your question to any of the speakers. And finally, we will close it with some of the key takeaways and follow up that will come after this webinar, and it will be facilitated by Danielle Vertesi. So with that, I encourage you to put your questions in the chat while my colleagues are making their presentation. And as Jose Luis mentioned, we will be addressing them throughout the webinar and also in the Q&A. And with that, I hand over the floor. But before that, we can now do the group photo. We don't have many participants yet, but I think it's time for us to open our camera and smile for the group photo. And that I'll pass the floor to our colleague Guanza. Thank you.
Thank you, Esperanza. Dear remote participants, we are going to take a group picture now. And if you would like to be on that, please open your cameras. We'll wait for a few seconds that everyone is able to open their camera. Thank you. I think we can go already. I will count until 3, and you may help with me with your smile, please. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Take another one, please. 2, 3. Okay. I see more and more people opening their cameras. Just okay, fast. Thank you for your patience. It's done.
Thank you so much, Guanza. And so now we have Daniela to start the presentation. Sorry. So sorry about that. So it's going to be Nehal who will be presenting to us the ITU Data Hub.
Thank you, SB. So hi, I'm Nehal Desai, and I'm a part of the ICT Data and Analytics team at ITU. And in today's session, we will be see a presentation on ITU Data Hub. It's a one-stop place for all ICT statistics and regulatory information, offering a wealth of data. ITU Data Hub highlights the richness of the extensive data collected by the member states and by ITU. It's a mobile-friendly platform, freely accessible to everyone. So this is the URL. So once you enter the URL, you will land on to the home page that is tailored to your location. We will post the links in the chat later on. Here on the home page, you can see a quick overview of which is tailored to your location. So in our case, it's Switzerland. So you will see a quick overview of the core set of indicators at a glance for that country. Here you have some of the connectivity indicators, affordability, and some of the regulatory information. So if you try to, if you want to select, say, for example, fixed broadband subscriptions, you will explore the detailed data related to that country. So here you can see the overview page where you can see a thematic map color coded to visualize the data across geographic regions. If you want to see the data evolved over the years, you can click the next icon where you can see the evolution over the years for that specific indicator in that country. You can see here a nice chart where you can see the evolution over the years for fixed broadband subscriptions. You can also toggle between the two units that you can see here. So if you're interested in the per capita measurement, say for here, it's the almost 48 per 100 inhabitants in Switzerland. And if you're looking for the total number of fixed broadband subscriptions, you can see here 4 million fixed broadband subscriptions in Switzerland for the year 2023. You can see this data for Switzerland for all the economies below, as you can see. And you can also see the small icon where you can click on this icon to see that what is the official source for this data and any notes related to this data. So this is quite useful to know the data availability for that indicator. You can also drill down and look at the disaggregated data. As you can see here, you can view the data by technology. And here on the screen, you can view that, you can see that DSL is the dominant technology for fixed broadband subscriptions in Switzerland, followed by fiber. Where at the same time here you have a nice informative line chart, which also illustrates the evolution over the years for this technology. As you can, even though DSL is the dominant technology, you can see that how the fiber is gaining the ground, and there is a gradual decline in the older technologies or traditional technologies you can see here for cable or DSL. You can also view this data by speed tier, where you can see for Switzerland, it's almost all of the subscriptions have more than 10 Mbits of speed. You have the unit over here, so you can also see the percentage of this fixed broadband subscriptions, where you see that most of the subscriptions, like more than 99% of the subscriptions have either 10 or above 10 Mbits of speed. You can view this disaggregated data. You can download this data by clicking the download button over here. You also can use the comparator that is over here to view, to compare between two economies, between an economy and a region or a group. By default, it's set to world, but you can select, say, for example, I'm selecting Austria. You can select two economies. You can see the disaggregated data for two economies. You can see the overview, you can see the technology for both these countries. You can see here what is the dominant in Austria and compare it against Switzerland. On the top left side, we have given this little search bar where you can navigate, or if you prefer not to navigate through all these indicators, and if you're aware or if you're looking for a specific indicator, you can simply type the indicator. Say, for example, I have individuals using the internet, then I can just type and look out for that indicator using this search top bar. So this is all about the overview and the home page. Let's see navigate through the different tabs that we see on the top right. So here we see the Data Explorer tab, where we have enhanced with a new feature, as you can see here, a download PDF button, which allows you to download a country profile in a PDF format. Here you can see some of the core set of indicators. It gives you a quick snapshot of countries' progress in terms of connectivity or affordability of ICT access and use, the basically measuring digital development, and which is very useful for business decision making purposes. So the next tab that we have it here is the indicator catalog, which gives you the list of all the indicators that are available on the data hub. And our aim is to have all of the data under one roof. So besides the quantitative data, we also have integrated the qualitative insights from such as the regulatory information, as I mentioned earlier, from that is collected by our sister division, regulatory market environment division. So here you can see some of the important indicators which is vital for policy making, like international connectivity prices and many more. Last year, we enhanced the data hub with an advanced data query with custom layout. So if you go to the data query tab, here you can customize your data as per your needs. So you can select the indicators that you are looking for, as many indicators as you like. For example, I am you can also search for the indicator here, but you can also select from here. I'm interested in the coverage data, and say, for example, like mobile broadband subscriptions. And I select the economies. I am selecting Austria, I'm selecting Belgium. You can select as many economies as you wish. You can select the years. I'm interested in, say, last 3 years, 2021 to 2024. Apply the filters. And on the right-hand side, you can view your results as per your custom query. You can see that you have the indicator over here. You have all the technologies listed over here. So as you can see that you have the information, you can see that 96% of the individuals, 96% is of the population is covered by 5G mobile network in Austria, and it's and for Belgium it's 87%. You can, for active mobile broadband subscriptions, you also can view the disaggregated data. So here you have the data by technology, and you can see the active mobile broadband subscriptions in Austria, and you can quickly see that majority of the subscriptions are data and voice, whereas there are only few subscriptions which only has data, only mobile broadband subscriptions, which also gives you illustrates the usage patterns in that country. You can disaggregate this data by unit. So if you're looking for total broadband subscriptions or by per 100 people, you can view see the disaggregated data, and then you can download this data. Either you can download the current view, or you can download all the indicators. So this will result in a zip file containing a CSV file. In the About tab, you can see the disclaimer and the terms to use this data that's available on the Data Hub. You have also the information related to the 3 data collection types that ITU does on ICT household indicators, World Telecommunication indicators, and ICT price statistics. You have the handbook, the manual, the definitions, and the methodology related to this data collection. You have the sample questionnaire and all the information related to the ICT statistics. Apart from the data that is available on the Data Hub, we have also integrated some of the thematic dashboards. As you can see here on the screen, we have the universal and meaningful connectivity dashboard. Soon we will have the ICT price dashboard to have a more interactive experience at once. So as you can see, it's the design and it's similar to Data Hub. If you see one of the thematic dashboards, to have a seamless and consistent experience throughout the website. The work it's also a mobile friendly platform. And if you, as you can see, the work is still ongoing. We continue to develop the Data Hub with new visualization tools, providing more insights and context, improved data presentations, and additional features. So to make the dissemination as smooth as possible for all our users and stakeholders. So we kindly invite you to explore this rich data. And if you have any questions, feel free to write us at indicators.itu.int. Thank you for your attention. And I'll now pass on the floor to my colleague Daniela for the next presentation.
Hello, everyone. I will present to you an overview of the World Telecommunication ICT WTA Questionnaire 2025. So the key aspects of the questionnaire are that it is a data collection of 82 WTI indicators. And it is you participants who submit this. It's usually government agencies in charge of telecommunications or ICTs. It could be ministry or regulatory authorities. It is now collected only once a year from March to May, and it is collected through the Qualtrics online platform. And the notification was already sent to you by email. So the data collection schedule for 2025 was changed this year to make it easier for you to not have to submit the data twice. So you can only now submit the data once, and it was sent on the 24th of March. It will be open for 10 weeks. So the deadline is 29 May. And here the presentation afterwards will be posted, so you can access all of these links. In the yellow post-it, you have the data collection schedule link. In the blue one, you can have access to the ITU questionnaire website and the sample questionnaire in PDF format. And in the gray post-it, you can see the handbook for the collection of the administrative data on telecommunications and ICTs, where all of the indicators are defined. So the layout of the questionnaire in 2025 is as follows. First, you have a login page, welcome, survey guidelines, contact information, data input instructions, indicators, preview stage, and then you submit the questionnaire. So first, when you open the link from the email that you have received, you will come to the login page, and the username and password will be provided in the email. And since last year, also, this questionnaire is available in 6 UN languages, which you can change at any point in the questionnaire. The contact information is one thing important here for email addresses. We would encourage you to at least have more than one, and you can include also a general or generic email to your team. This is because in case the contact person changes jobs, we can still have access to the team. And please separate the emails with comma. And all of the recipients that have access to the survey can work on it, but only one person at a time. We also invite you to share the statistic website of your organization where you publish all of your data. In the data input instructions, we will ask you to provide data for 2024. And 2023 data you can also update if needed, but it would be good if you can add explanation in the notes. And 2022 data is only visible for reference. For a decimal separator, please use the dot. And any comments or explanations, please put them in the notes field. As you go along the questionnaire, it's important to always at every page click save and continue so that all the data you have entered will be registered. The indicators are divided into blocks. These blocks or topics are the same as they appear in the handbook. And so all of them have multiple indicators inside, and my colleagues will let you know more information about them. And there is also a sample questionnaire in PDF that you can access in case you want the whole list of indicators. We have integrated validation checks in questionnaire. It will help you to check things as you go along, and that will decrease the amount of emails that we would need to send to you afterwards. So it makes it easier for you. So the first type is the direct automatic warning. That is that in case the data that is entered is invalid, the cell turns red with error details directly below. As you can see here, the total cannot be less than a sub indicator. So it lets you know that there is something wrong, and then you will need to fix that. After you click save and continue on that page, you will have different types of validations or checks. The first one is a summary table. This table will appear at the end of each of the 14 blocks, and it shows you the percentage changes between the 2023 and 2024. And we invite you to check this, especially if there's any changes that are more than 20%. And if you find them correct, please add explanatory notes, because then we don't need to reach out to you anymore. We then also have what we call hard validations. These are crucial logical checks that if there's something wrong, the user cannot continue further and needs to fix that. So in this case, there's a warning message in red text that appears either below or above the question, and it explains what the error is and how to fix it. So from your side, if you encounter this, we suggest to remove all erroneous data, go back to your source, MNOs, ISPs, or other department, and then to rectify it in the questionnaire. We also have soft validations. These are less crucial logical checks, and user can still continue further even if there is a warning or information. This appears again as a message on the next page, and it shows you the inconsistencies or what the issue is. In this case, we would invite you to go back to the previous page so that you can fix it or add any more information. Afterwards, you will get to the review stage. Here, you can print this as a PDF. This is a summary table of all of the indicators and questions in the questionnaire and all of the data you have entered so far. However, if you see any inconsistencies or anything you'd like to change, you can still go back and make changes. You just need to go to the menu on the top left, go to the part that you would like to change, and important, please click save and continue. So anything new that you have entered will be registered. At the end, you can, once you are ready, you can submit the questionnaire, and please make sure to click the submit button. That's very important. And once you did, all of the contacts that were entered in the contact information will receive an email with the summary table, and we will also receive an email that you have submitted the questionnaire. Once this is done, you don't need to do anything else, and all of the work from your side is finished. And we thank you very much. And in case you have any questions or feedback, please send an email to indicators@itu.int. Or if you get stuck in the questionnaire, please send us an email and we will help you. Thank you. I will now hand over to Viviana.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here today joining us. And in my presentation, we're going to speak about the data sources in terms of the operator, but also some of the indicators that for the fixed and mobile broadband networks implies a huge challenge in terms of data collection. So my presentation, first of all, when we talk about data sources for the WTI questionnaire, we always think, okay, the source is the operator. But inside the operator, there are many data sources. So it's good to know and to map which of the indicators that we request corresponds to the data sources of the operator. So first of all, we need to understand what is a telecommunication, an event in telecommunication, which is the is an occurrence or a change in state that involves the use of a device, for example, and that requires a response for the telecommunication system. For example, when you made a phone call, when you browse in the internet through the mobile phone, or when you browse from internet through your fixed network. That event generates what we call a ticket, or CDR is called data record. The code is because of the time of the fixed telephony, so many years ago. So that's what we call, and that generates this information generates a blueprint that is stored what we call here the network elements. The network elements, there is a set of devices, hardware and systems that the operators have that records these unformatted CDR tickets that you generate with every event. So for example, to have you an idea, it depends for every user, every action, you will have a row in a database. So imagine the volume that everything is generated day by day to the operators. The important thing of this is that this record is stored in these network elements, but it's a string. It's not possible, it does not have any format that it could be readable for any external system. That's why there exists also in the operators an engine mediation system, which the objective is to convert these CDRs, these raw CDRs, into tables that can be combined with another systems in the operator. So for example, after we have the information related to what we do, which in general, this information is in terms of traffic, minutes, SMS that we send, or the data that we traffic, origin and destination of the communications, this information can be combined into the CRM, which is the customer relationship management system that every operators have, that have different tables in terms of, for example, information of the client. I mean, the name, address, the commercial plan, the discount, all the, how can I say, the objectives or the description of the plan that you have. So after the operator merge these two informations, okay, this plan, Viviana's plan, has traffic this month, this amount of minutes, okay, we are going to invoice her about this, what he used. So in this case, we have two different kind of indicators. The indicators in the WTI questionnaire that is related to traffic in terms of voice, SMS, or data always have be obtained from the network data. Why is that? Because in the CRM, there can be discounts. For example, the first giga is free. So if you take the information from here, you will not be counting the gigas that were for free. So the information in terms of traffic always have to come from the network data. This is the first output that we have to have in mind. And the second, the rest of indicators, for example, that we're going to see in the following slides in terms of breakdown, in terms of speed, in terms of technology, we have to get it from the CRM system or the billing system, because in that way, the operator knows, okay, this service has this advertised speed, or the contract has this technology associated. This is an example, for example, from a raw CDR in terms of fixed traffic. The first one, the above, as you can see in general terms, you have a date, a start time, end time of the session, and username. And in addition, the technology. You have to have in mind that the operators all the time knows what is happening in the networks. This is for very common sense issue. Is because if there is an issue in the network or something that is not functioning, they have to identify exactly where and what services are involved. That's why they know every time what's happening. And of course, you have the traffic in different units, in bytes, in gigabytes, or this is depend of the configuration of the system. And below, we have an example of the CDR related to mobile network. Mobile network involves, for example, call voice traffic from origin and destination, from number A and number B. It goes in terms of data or SMS. Related to the internet traffic, the first important thing is that we measure in terms of the end user levels and refers to the amount of data that is transferred between the user's device, that could be a computer, a tablet, a phone, over the internet, and includes all the activities that we have here: web browser, file transfer, emails, voice on IP calls, etc. And the important thing here is that the unit of internet traffic, the basic unit is up here, is a bit. A byte is 8 bits. But in addition, over the time with the evolution of the internet traffic, it has to be, for notation purposes, we need to increase the units. So the basic unit, we can say that is a kilobyte, and we have here the conversion. There is more units than exabyte higher, but the objective here is to show you that in the questionnaire, when we ask the traffic related to your country, we ask it in exabytes because for notations, imagine if we can have it, if you ask you to put this in terms of kilobytes. So the traffic always has to be converted into exabytes. In addition, have in mind that you have to check that if you have more than one operator that submit the data in different units, these units are properly converted to exabytes before to add them. In addition, it's important that you let you know that there are two. Here we have the conversion in 1000, but there are two different notations. We have, this is the decimal system, but you can see the conversion in 1 kilobyte in 1024 bytes. In terms of the global traffic is not so relevant, but the important thing that you have it is do not confuse you that there are two type of units. In terms of measurement, traffic has there are two ways to measure the traffic. The first of is in terms of volume, and the second is in terms of data transfer, in terms of the rate. The first thing that you have to think when you think in traffic is in a water pipe that has at the end a bucket. And then you have to see the volume measured in kilobytes, for example, here. This is what we measure volume. We measure in kilobytes, and please note the notation. Everything is in capital letters. And this is how many, in terms of it, this metaphor is how many buckets can I fill with internet traffic. So the buckets of water in this case. So this is the concept of data volume. There is another concept, which is data transfer, which is how fast the water goes into the pipe. So we measure in terms of bits per second, which is the basic unit. In the case of the volume, there are different units. And it's important that to let you know that everything that measures traffic is referred to any given moment of time. It has to be referred to the moment of time. For example, in the last year, in terms of volume, or in the last hour, for example. And there is another concept related to internet traffic, which is bandwidth. When we talk about bandwidth, we refer to the maximum rate at which data can be transferred over an internet connection in a given time. So it's the maximum in terms of the water pipe, the maximum water, liters of water that can go through the pipe at any given time. So now we would like to continue with the traffic we would like to let you know some aspects of the architecture that has the broadband services. What we have to the left, this is not a very detailed chart. The important thing is to let you know where is the traffic measured in terms of the network, in order to understand when we ask these kind of indicators, what are we asking? So first, to the left, we have the subscriber premises, where is the user, in this case. Second, we have what we call the access technology, which refers to the technologies that is used for that subscribers to connect to the internet. As you very well know, we have this is an example, we have many more, but we have DCL, cable modem, fiber to the home building, or mobile, which can be 4G, 3G, or 5G. So we have the user here with the access technology that when first, next, when they make the request to connect, that request goes to what we call the transport network that connect this user to what we call the backbone, to the local area network. That it's like when you, for example, when you want to fly from one point to another one and you have to make scales, this is the same logic. Is you're in the place, you have to go to the internet, to this place. So the network has many stops. The thing here is that you do not perceive the things, the back office of this, but there are several different segments of the network here. So when you are connected to the backbone, there is another equipment here, which is called, the name changed because of the technology, which the objective is to assign the IP address of the user. Of course, when you enter to the internet, your router or the device at your place has a user and a password. This is the user and password that this equipment identifies you in the network and assign the IP addresses. And after that, after he says, okay, you are okay to navigate, goes to what we call the broadband network gateway. And this is the crucial component, because in this component in the network, it's like the custom border. It authenticates you in terms, okay, this is a user, he can go or not, authorize and makes the accountability of all the traffic that we're going to have through the internet. And this is a way that when you ask for something in internet and then you download something, this equipment register everything. So this is important because when we ask for the traffic, we ask the traffic at this point. So when we call the custom border, to understand what goes in and what goes out. Given that, when we want to show you, this is an example of how the operators monitor the traffic every minute or every 5 minutes. This is an example of the software they have. The source of the traffic, of course, is the network data. And what we would like to show you here is that they monitor the traffic for mainly two reasons. The first one is to understand the usage of the network, because if there is a bottle jam at some point, they have to reroute the traffic. So they have to understand what's going on. And the first view is a screen like that. And the second one is because they have to analyze the increase of capacity. So this kind of graph is very common. It's a daily basis operation. And as you can see here, they can measure both things: the volume of the traffic, so how many buckets, and the speed. So they have all the information, and also they have it separate what is traffic upload, how much is downloaded. Also, they have the maximum, the minimum, etc. So the key takeaways of this first part is that you have to have it clear that traffic indicator is a core indicator to measure meaningful connectivity. It's an indicator that can be estimated because you don't have the necessary tools to do it. As you can see, we measure at some point of the network. There is no chance that you can estimate what's going on there. And also it's related to consumption behavior patterns that are dynamic. And it's a very volatile variable. So traffic is a number that is available in all the operators. In addition, it's important that you have in mind that we consider the traffic from the network data, not from the billing system, because we ask for the whole traffic that has been carried out, which includes zero rating traffic. What I mean with zero rating traffic is, I mean in terms of the, for example, what I said earlier, the first giga is for free. Some operators can make for promotional activities, they can say, okay, the first giga is for free, do not count it. So this is important that you have in mind that we would like to include all the traffic, not only the parts that have been charged to the customer. So let's move on to fixed broadband right now. As you see in the questionnaire, we ask, is the following the what we have speaking before. We have different breakdown access file technology. As I told you, this information is easily obtained from the CRM, from the operators, because in that system they can associate which service with the technology for operational, even for the operational reasons. If you have if you have your service is not working, they have to understand what kind of technology you have it in order to understand what kind of equipment they have to fix or repair. So we ask for cable modem, the technology, the current technology, DCS, fiber to the building, other fixed wide broadband, satellite broadband, and terrestrial fixed wireless broadband. In this place, I would like, we show you before some kind of the architectural of the fixed broadband. We would like to make it clear because sometimes there is a few questions related. Why is fixed wireless counted as fixed broadband and why satellite broadband is counted as fixed? Because it's easy, because the last part of the connection related to the user is connected to a fixed network. So we count at the end user level the connection. So this is important that you have in mind because no matter the satellite ends into a ground station, but from the ground station, they are connected to a terrestrial network, and the terrestrial network is connected to a home. So this is important for the categories that we ask in the questionnaire. Also, you have in mind that the total, the breakdown by technology has to add up with the total fixed broadband subscriptions. It's not that in the total there are two different numbers. It's one total, and then it's the breakdown that we ask for, because it's important for us to understand which is the technology that is the first or the most important in your country. Second, we ask for the breakdown by speed. It's important that you have in mind that we ask for the advertised downstream speed in this case, and this information is obtained, again, from the CRM or the billing system, because it's the place where the operators know what kind of the attributes the service are. So we ask for this breakdown and have in mind that it has to be add up with the total of fixed broadband subscriptions. Also, this indicator is one of the indicators that are followed for the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's important that if you have it, you provide to us in order to understand how is the breakdown. In addition, we have just to give it you more clear that everything has to add up with this total. It would happen, not necessarily, but it would happen that some operators for the CRM system cannot identify, because when some country reach a certain level of speed, they say speed is not important because we don't discriminate. Don't worry. It could happen that there are some services that cannot be assigned to a specific speed, but the important thing is that this total cannot be greater than the total of the fixed broadband subscriptions. So related to traffic of fixed broadband, the general concepts, it has to measure in exabytes, check that all the operators give you the information in the same unit, otherwise you can convert. Then is the period, the period reference of the questionnaire. It's important that you measure at the end user access point. In general, this system AAA is configured that exclude the traffic that we don't want it in order to avoid duplication, which is the wholesale traffic, which is traffic that are carried by some operators on behalf of other operators, walled garden traffic, IPv cable, TV traffic, and IPTV, because there are type of traffic that could be double content, because if you include here, then you will measure here. So the first thing is that you have in mind that the traffic recorded by the AAA system, the white data, the one that I showed you before, is measured at the end user point. In general, you have to check that doesn't include this kind of traffic, and that's it. And it's the sum of the download traffic in exabytes and the upload traffic in exabytes. Here is the wording, in case that you find it useful, how to ask for this traffic. So it's the definition of the traffic, and using aggregate data from the AAA system accounting records, which I have shown, is the system that is here in the entrance of the ISP network. The same figure that I showed you before. And the important thing, you will receive the traffic in exabytes, but you have to make it sense to level, okay, how can I convert to the subscriber level? So the important thing here is that you have it in your minds that you can convert the total in exabytes in terms of the traffic at end user level, subscription level in gigabytes. How would you do that? It's a simple formula. You take the total traffic. Imagine you have 3 operators. Each operator reported the sum of download and upload in exabytes. You have this total, and it's this total divided in the total amount of fixed broadband that you have in the same period, which is this indicator. If you make this division, you will have in terms of, which is going to be a very, very low number in exabytes. So you have to convert the traffic into gigabytes, which is a multiplying by this number. And then you will have an explanation of how much it is in terms of subscriptions in gigabytes, the traffic carried out by any subscription. So this is important because this is the concept. When you have this number, you don't have any idea, okay, this is have any kind of sense. But in general, if you do this exercise, you can understand better at the subscriber level how much the traffic in terms of the monthly average per subscription in the year. Here you have the total, and then of course, for the year, you have to divide between 12, which is the month of the year. So this is a very, very quick exercise, how to give you an idea how to make sense to the indicators that you receive. This is almost the same what I said. So then the presentations will be available in the website. But the important thing is that you have the thing that fixed network traffic always is from network data, is a data source. In terms of the breakdown by speed and technology, always is the billing system or the CRM. And the traffic cannot be estimated. As I show you, it's a simple number that is available all the time in the operators. And it's important that you have in mind that all the operators in your country give the information in the same unit, exabytes. In terms of the mobile cellular network, quickly, we're going to see the indicators. The first indicator that we have is the mobile cellular telephone subscriptions. We count the subscriptions that offer a voice communication. Of course, in a country, could be 2 different kind of services. I have a prepaid or a contract, different modalities to subscribe to the service. So this is important that you have in mind that the data source for this indicator in the operator is the billing system. Again, because the network data doesn't care if you are a prepaid or a contract. You do the call, you use your mobile phone. So this information is always located in the billing system. it's important that you have to, there are two important conditions that have been met here to be counted these services. The first one is this: is a postpaid contract modality. The user pay a fee, a monthly fee in general. So there is a commitment with the operator. So it's probably that this service will be used in the next year. In general, there are year contract. But also there could be an option of the prepaid. So it's important that you have in mind that this subscription have been, if it is a prepaid subscription, must have been used at least once in the previous 3 months. Why is important the 3 months period in this case? Because we would like to avoid include what we call the dormant lines, which is a line that has not been used for a lot of time. But in general, the operators have different policies in terms of what are considered a dormant line. Some of them takes 6 months, some of them takes 1 year or 2 years. And it depends because after that period, they can give the number that haven't been used to another client. So this is important that we consider the use of the previous 3 months. In addition, because we would like to avoid what we call the seasonal effect, which is, for example, when an operator, in terms of promotions, gives promotional SIM cards to the tourists in the summer or everything, and after that they give for free, and after that that cards are not used. So in this case, we make sure that the service are active and has been used. We also exclude in the first indicator M2M subscriptions, which we count separately in this indicator. The data source is the CRM billing system, and these are services, subscriptions that connect machine to machine. That's what the acronym means. And we would like to have it separate of the consumer subscriptions because as the name says, it involves machine to machines subscriptions. So for example, it could be power electricity meters or smart meters or GPS for the cars and everything. So we would like to have it in a separate category, and that's why we ask it for it separate. In terms of the mobile network, the important thing here is that we ask in terms of, in general, there is a confusion between what we call coverage and what we call penetration. Coverage is a measure of how much of the population can potentially access the mobile network. What does it mean? It means that if I would like to use the service in one geographical place, I can do it. If I would like, I have the option to use it. When we call to penetration, penetration refers to the how much mobile services are actually used by the population. This means which they are subscribed to this service. And of course, it's represented in terms of per 100 inhabitants. What we ask in the questionnaire is about coverage. We would like to see if the inhabitants of some place would like to have the access to that kind of technology. They can have it. This is what we ask. We ask for coverage, not for penetration. In addition, we ask this indicator also is an indicator monitor for the Sustainable Development Goals. And we ask for the breakdown by technology. So first, we ask for the population which is covered by a mobile cellular network with the widest coverage regardless of the technology. So the total coverage in terms of mobile network. And then we have the breakdown in terms of 3G, 4G, LTE, or 5G. The important thing here is that you have in mind that coverage, unless there is something geographical issue, never can be decreased it can decrease over time. This is because of basic logic, because when the operators sunset a technology, for example, a 3G, because they migrate everything to 4G and 5G, they will not leave underserved geographical areas. So the important thing is that you see over time, this indicator, it has to be steady in general if you don't have any new deployment of technology, but also can be increasing. In terms of mobile broadband, the important here you have all the main features that are available in the handbook. The important thing that we would like to give you a view here is that it can include two types of services that, of course, are can be discriminated in the CRM billing system, which is if it is a data and voice service or it's a data only service. Of course, okay. Mobile broadband in the network, it doesn't care if you have a service contracted with data and voice on data only. But the important thing is that you have in mind that this information is obtained from the CRM billing system, which has the information of the commercial plan of all the customers in the operator. And also you have to have in mind that it has to be an active subscription. The good news is that the criteria to understand if it is an active subscription is the same that we just discussed for mobile voice services. If it is a postpaid, it's a monthly fee that is paid, so it's a commitment of the person with the operator. Regardless the use, we don't care if he uses or not, because this person paid for the service. And if it is a prepaid, we have to check if they access the internet in the previous 3 months. So here, the important thing that you have in mind is that the total of active mobile broadband services had to be breakdown in these two categories that we ask in the questionnaire. How many are data and voice mobile subscriptions, and how many are data-only mobile subscriptions? This is the most important thing that you have in mind. The criteria is the same. Contract, I don't care if they use it or not. Prepaid, in the last 3 months, there has been used the internet. Here you have a table, which is the idea is this is most of the plans that can be offered in an operator. It can be, for example, a standalone service, then you have a subscription to the voice. But here to identify what kind of mobile broadband service is, if it has data and voice or data only, I have to see here if there is pay as you go or a contract service or whatever. So what implies if it is a prepaid or contract service, it depends of how is the data is contracted in the plan, if it is separate or if it's together with the data and voice. And also you have to see in mind that, for example, here, if the data plan is contracted, so the customer pays for the data plan regularly, we don't care if it uses it or not, so we count it as active. But if it is a pay-as-you-go or add-on on data plan, we have to check if it has been used in the last 3 months. Also, since the last year questionnaire, after the EGTI group updated indicators, we are asking also a breakdown by technology in the active mobile broadband subcategories, so we ask about how many of the mobile broadband are from the LTE WiMAX network and how much are from 5G network. This information also is covered in the CRM because you can operator can have it here. And the important thing that we would like to show you here is that these subcategories cannot be never higher than the total of active mobile subscriptions. So the active mobile subscriptions we can split in LTE WiMAX in our questionnaire, 5G or other technologies. In terms of the traffic, mobile traffic is the same logic as the fixed traffic. The same logic. The only difference is like we asked the traffic in a mobile broadband, in a mobile network and we asked the traffic within the country. This is the only difference. One is the traffic in the fixed network, and the other is the traffic carried out in the mobile network. The criteria is the same. Same period of reference, end user access point. We ask for the total of download and upload traffic. Traffic to exclude, have in mind this, is because to avoid duplication of traffic. And also the way that we can have it is in the same. We ask in the custom border between the transport network, in the ISP network. With this equipment, they have the information. The important thing here is that you have in mind that all the breakdown in terms of mobile broadband are coming from the CRM billing system because it has the conditions of the commercial plan, if it is a data and voice and data only. And also, you have in mind, please, if you have the information in terms of the breakdown, if you can include the breakdown between LTE WiMAX and 5G mobile broadband, it could be really great. In terms of traffic, the same advices that we said before is total traffic carried through the network data, which includes zero traffic rating. Please do not estimate the traffic, must not be estimated because you don't have all the elements to estimate the traffic. And it's an easy number that operators get it daily. And finally, there is an indicator that we would like to remind you, because sometimes there is confusion here with the household indicator. When we ask for the percentage of fixed telephone subscription, which are residential, what we ask is from the total telephone subscriptions that the operators have, which of that correspond to the category of the customer category residential. So which one, this percentage, which one of them are residential divided so the total fixed telephone. Because sometimes we have queries related if they have to include here the information of the National Statistical Office in terms of the household has telephone. No, we ask in terms always our data sources from the operators and how many of these telephone subscriptions are residential. And this information, of course, is obtained in the CRM billing system, filtering by type of customer. This exercise has to be done in the operator, of course, but you can, in case of any confusion, you can let them know. So to finalize, always indicators are key basic that we ask in the questionnaire are key basic metrics for the operators. The important thing is from the operator side, the indicators that we request come from two main sources, the network data and the CRM billing system. It's important that for internet traffic, you can ask them in the point of the AAA system. Remember, authentication, authorization, and accountability. This is what is registered. And of course, please do not send estimate and do not estimate the traffic because it's an actual number. So we would like to have you this in mind. Thank you very much for your time. And now I give the floor to my colleague Daniel, who will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Viviana. Let me continue by sharing my screen. And I will talk about international bandwidth indicators, quality of service indicators, and the economic indicators. Starting with international bandwidth. These are indicators that measure the capacity and the actual usage of international linkages, be them satellite, terrestrial or submarine cables, international radio links, etc. And the indicator is expressed in megabit per sec. I mean, the image you see on the slide gives a quick intuition of how bandwidth is actually measured and what are the pitfalls So you want to make sure that there's a distinction between the potential capacity of a cable and the lit capacity. ITU collects data for the lit capacity. And then within the lit capacity, there is the purchased capacity, which is an advanced deal made, purchasing the capacity for the expected time period, expected usage in a time period. But then there is the actual usage. And again, the used capacity is the second indicator we measure. Obviously, lit capacity is larger than used capacity. This is a check whenever you compile the data you can make to verify that whatever you received and you add up makes sense. Another point in the definition, and Viviana has been explaining this in great detail. So this is a throughput measure. So the amount of data transferred within a limited set of time. We measure it in terms of megabit per sec. And obviously, this is different from traffic indicators, which measure the total amount of data. Again, just for you to keep in mind when interpreting the data. And I mean, you will be able to track it that lit capacity is usually advanced by a number of quarters or even years, and used capacity follows. And by definition, it should always be lower so that the total capacity is available before the actual usage occurs. And what is important is that it includes multiple types of international linkages, and the international is essential. So it has to cross the country border. How do you collect the data on international bandwidth usage or capacity? One option is to go to facilities-based carriers who provide wholesale connectivity, or to go to all operators that contract or self-supply bandwidth. They can be fixed or mobile or satellite operators. But if you go that path, make sure you collect data from OTTs and content providers who use international links directly. Now, an important point is don't mix the two and avoid double counting. Just to reiterate, what is included could be self-supply and leased international linkages and the traffic going through that, clients, subsidiaries and own usage, transit and peering agreements, content providers or OTTs traffic, and all IP-based services. Now, well, just keep in mind not to include national traffic, and it sounds easier than in practice, because sometimes there are interchanges within the country, and it's important to make sure to avoid double counting traffic that is not leaving the country. I mean, we have observed in the past years that international bandwidth indicators were erroneous for a simple reason that annual averages were not taken into consideration. For example, sometimes quarterly data is available on bandwidth usage. It's important that this data is taken as that the value submitted to ITU is the annual average of the different quarters. Now, there's a note in the definition that if traffic is asymmetric, so incoming is not equal to outgoing, which is actually the case in most of the time. So what you have to watch out for is first check what is the larger. So in this example, which you see, it's incoming, which is on total exceeding outgoing traffic. So you take the entire year, all 4 quarters, and compute the total. So the value you submit is 160. Are my values reasonable? It's always good that you go back to the figures, check what the previous year was, and make also a simple calculation of bandwidth per internet user. This is a number that you may have access to directly, or you can go to the ITU Data Hub where values are available. I am now moving on to quality of service indicators. Quality of service indicators are come in different shapes and sizes. First, traditionally, there has been fixed network and mobile cellular network indicators. What we retained is the mobile cellular quality of service indicators. There are two on the unsuccessful call ratio and the drop call ratio. Then there are the mobile broadband quality of service indicators that were introduced by EGTI in 2020, which measure the average download speed, average upload speed in bits per sec, and latency in milliseconds. And then there is fixed broadband quality of service indicators, which is mirroring the previous one for mobile broadband with the additional fault resolution period added to it. Now, quality of service is something that many of you coming from regulators face and fear, so that this is a key measure that the consumers care about, and we understand that there are many ways of measuring it, and there has been a lot of improvement in the measurement. Nevertheless, we noticed during the last EGTI meeting in September that there are quality improvements still necessary to make sure that the data is internationally comparable. And we also remind everyone that the 2025 EGTI agenda includes a discussion on quality of service measurement, and we kindly invite you to contribute to this discussion on the EGTI forum. Well, why am I saying this? When we look at the method of data collection, it turns out that quality of service indicator can be sourced differently. So one option is to collect it directly from operators. Operators can report quality of service, but of course you want to watch out because the quality should be homogeneous across the different operators. So operators should use automatic systems based on network counters to register real traffic, and network counters should provide accurate data with a high level of reliability. There's also the possibility that a regulator or an independent authority conducts field tests. Field tests are good because they will allow a more critical approach, but it's important to make sure that that homogeneous testing methods are used across different regions, different times of the day, and so on. And there are many regulators who use international standards. And one example is the ETSI standards. That is a good practice. Now, keep in mind that ITU is collecting one single number for the quality of service indicators, but we all know that this rests on many measurements, and sampling is critical to make sure that the number you provide is representative. So when you are doing a sampling, make sure to respect relevant factors such as geographical differences across the countries, population size, population density, so urban, rural, where the subscription base is located. Consider the number of service providers and their subscription basis. Consider differences in times of the day, peak, off-peak, and the type of indicator, whether measurement tool, what is the right measurement tool. So this is one of the recommendations of the EGTI subgroup. Again, what we kindly ask you to do is to indicate in the notes to these indicators any additional information that is useful to know how the data was compiled. And in case you have different values, 3G, 4G, 5G, please, you can use the notes to the indicator submission in the platform and explain. This will help make the figures more comparable internationally. And of course, it's useful to do verification of something like a back of envelope calculation of whether the numbers you receive make sense. For example, for certain cellular technology, there's a physical limit to the average download or upload speed. Keep a note of that. There are also interesting options to verify the data from crowdsourced speed data or third-party sources. And with this, I would like to move on to the last section, that is the economic indicators, employment, revenue, and investment indicators that we collect in the World Telecom ICT Indicators questionnaire. I mean, starting from the big picture, economic activities are broken down into various classes: agriculture, manufacturing, services, etc. When we are talking about the telecommunication sector, we are looking at the telecommunication service sectors, which includes, we use the international definition, so the ICIC revision 4 classifications, division 61. In Europe, it would be NACE. In North America, the NAICS classification. And I'm sure in your countries you may have the specific classification, but telecom services are corresponding to the ICIC classification, typically, which includes wired telecom services, wireless activities, satellite activities, and other telecom activities, such as the provision of specialized applications, operation of telecom facilities, provision of telecom access in facilities open to the public, and telecom resellers, etc. What is important is that the service is the measure. The service sector is in focus and not manufacturing. So ICT equipment manufacturing should not be included. And another excluded activity is broadcasting. So the traditional broadcasting activity is not part of the data that we collect for the revenue, employment, and investment indicators. Where is this data best sourced from? One option is go to companies. Telecom operators and internet service providers are required by law typically to report their business activities, and audited reports are useful sources. When you go to this channel, make sure that you verify the geographical coverage. In terms of multinational companies, it should be the country focused, your country, and avoid data from foreign subsidiaries. It's also important to make sure that data is comprehensive. So you cover all the companies in the sector, not just a few of the large ones. Another source, and probably a more reliable one, is to go to the National Statistical Office, because business statistics has a long tradition, and national statistical offices collect data according to the internationally harmonized methodology, but it's important to have the relevant disaggregation. And there's a third source which I have to mention, which is for the balance of payment statistics that is used for foreign direct investment in the telecom sector, which may come from the National Statistical Office or from the central bank. This is something to be explored in your country context. Timing is a tricky question when it comes to the economic indicators. Employment is measured as a point-in-time indicator. So that is at the end of the calendar year, 31 December of your year, of the focal year. However, revenue and investment is a sum of the total that is happening within the calendar year. And since economic activities are often not measured in terms of calendar years, but in terms of financial years, you have to be very clear about the data that is available. And this is something that you definitely have to note in the questionnaire. And when you don't have data by calendar year, but by, say, financial year ending with the first quarter, so let's say 31st of March, then make sure to use the point in time closest to the end of the year to which the data refers. And what is important, again, is to be coherent. So if you use a certain time period for investment data, please use the same for revenues. It is also important that you use the same company population, the same set of companies for the economic indicators, because users of the statistics, ITU as well in our analyses, we compute ratios, and these are only meaningful if they refer to the same population. A typical question which comes up is whether to include or not to include employment and revenue data for regulatory authorities. Now, regulators do not provide telecom services and should not be considered as part of the telecom service sector. The indicators we collect are, let's say, tip of the iceberg indicators. So there's typically a lot of breakdowns available, but what we look at is fairly simple. Is fairly simple to obtain. We collect data for revenue from all telecom services, from mobile networks, which is part of it. We collect data for annual investment in telecom services and annual foreign direct investment in telecom. We collect data for persons employed in terms of full-time equivalents, and one breakdown is female employees in the telecom sector. Focusing on revenues. It is useful, and the information you see here is available in the handbook, and you can use these slides as well for reference to make sure you're clear what is included and what is not included. For example, retail revenues from residential and business customers are included. However, for wholesale revenues and interconnection services should not be included. Resellers, again, included, but when it comes to taxation, just make sure that value-added tax and excise taxes are not included. But there are corporate taxes and administrative fees, numbering fees. They should not be deduced. Device sales, an important activity and often difficult to disentangle, should not be included in the revenues. This is a tricky one, and it's important to double check with the source. Revenues from value-added services, such as premium, SMS, and other data services, 5G, should of course be included. And now, typically you have breakdown or revenues by the type of the service. So is it a fixed network? Is it a mobile network service or other services? total, all telecom services should include all three. And then specifically, we also collect indicator 741 for revenues for mobile network services. This is useful to understand. Investments. We collect data on annual investment in telecom services, which is actually, in other words, capital expenditure. So what does that mean? It covers all investments carried out during the financial year to acquire or upgrade property and networks. And by property, we mean tangible assets. So think of a plant, as well as intellectual and non-tangible assets. Think of a computer software. Annual investments should also include initial installation and additional investments, so additions to existing installations. Again, please ensure that the territorial scope is respected, which is the country of focus. Now, just for clarification, there are a number of activities which should be excluded. One is R&D. So expenditure on R&D is not part of telecom investments. Annual fees for operating licenses and the use of radio spectrum. So license fees not included. This is often a source of confusion. And there's a small, that's more of a fine print, that investment in telecom software or equipment that is for internal use, that is not to be included, a tricky one as well. Now, a final indicator in the investments is the annual foreign investment in telecom. That is essentially the FDI, or foreign direct investment, coming from foreign sources with the destination in the country, and it can include fixed, mobile, or internet services. And it refers to one entity, the direct investor in abroad, that acquires a share that exceeds or that is reaching or exceeding 10% in a domestic asset in the country. FDI data is typically sourced from the national authority that is responsible for compiling balance of payment statistics, rather than operators. So you typically go, as I said before, to the central bank or the National Statistical Office to obtain these figures. And balance of payments data is available, often broken down by economic groups, and we look for the telecom. Now, let me finish with the employment indicators. And employment indicators include the total number of persons in full-time equivalent units employed by telecom operators in the country for the provision of telecom services. Again, keep in mind, we said that broadcasting is excluded, so staff working in broadcasting businesses that offer only traditional broadcasting services should be excluded. Again, it's the same ICIC Rev 4 Division 61 that we use. And sometimes you are puzzled how to compile full-time equivalent data. A rule of thumb, 8-hour workday is to be kept in mind to convert part-time to full-time equivalents. And another indicator of interest is the breakdown by gender. So there, the number of female employees is the indicator I51F. So to summarize, economic indicators are often large numbers. So watch out for the currency and the unit. The currency unit should always be local currency units, and please consider the unit as one. So please do not report millions or thousands. And it's of course very easy to make an error in this. So one way is to check against previous year's values. Is it the same scale of magnitude? If it is, then you are probably right. Of course, we know that investment data can fluctuate from one year to the other, but please verify that time series makes sense. In a few special cases, but not unheard of, there is a change in currency during the year. Then please make sure to report the data in the currency that is actually used at the end of the reference period. And if you, in the subsequent year, you have a new currency, please make sure not to overwrite. Or if you have a better value in the subsequent questionnaire, then please add in the notes what currency you use. Make sure, finally, that the financial year and calendar year discrepancies are well explained. With this, I thank you very much for your attention. It has been quite a ride.
So I think that is for our webinar this afternoon. Before we close, I would like to pass the floor to Danielle, who will wrap up and make some conclusions. And I would like to thank everyone who joined and looking forward to your participation in our future events and seminars like this. Over to you, Danielle.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, SB and everyone. I mean, if I am to summarize in a few lines what we have been discussing in the nearly 2 hours past, I would like to highlight the following: that the questionnaire is now open, and please keep in mind the deadline, which is 29th of May. We trust that you will be able to use the material of this webinar as well as other reference material available. So the ITU handbook for the collection of administrative data on telecom, ICT, along with the extra material. And of course, there's also the ITU Academy course, which gives an additional chance to review the information discussed here and get a certification. If you encounter any difficulties, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. If for some reason you cannot compile a questionnaire, we are here to help. And a final message, and this is something that is worth keeping in mind, is that the data that you submit here have been jointly agreed by the ITU expert group on telecom ICT indicators. So, and the discussion is ongoing. So the indicators should be relevant and should be accurate. So if there is a new topic, such as refinement of quality of service indicators, or a better measure of traffic over submarine cables, which is referring to the bandwidth group of indicators, over-the-top services, OTT services, or satellite-based broadband connection, an emerging topic. That this, if there is a new indicator, it will be shaped by your inputs. So please join the active forum and please contribute to the discussions. I mean, these topics are on the 2025 agenda, and in the forum you will see that there were interesting proposals already made. Feel free to bring your evidence, bring your thoughts, and bring forward this discussion, because it will be good input and also discussed in our September meeting. And finally, the ITU Data Hub, which was presented by Nehal earlier today, is really a rich source, and thanks to you, it's a rich source. So please keep contributing the data. We appreciate your efforts in accessing the data and reporting the data and and maintaining the quality of the data. So in case we have questions, we are in the validating, when validating the data, we will reach out to you to ensure that the Data Hub can remain the go-to authoritative reference on ICT statistics from the ITU. And with this, I thank you very much for your attention and collaboration, and wish you a nice afternoon or day, depending on where you are. Thank you very much.